ZBRA is the most famous Doom main out there, but is he all spectacle or is he actually good? You guys already know who ZBRA is. The guy who tilts streamers.
Oh my god, what a fucking shitty ass character, bro.
And the guy who can dodge EMPs, Malka cages, and Ryan shatters. But is it all for show? Is he even good when Doom's banned? Well, get ready for numerous counter swaps, insert the whiplash meme.
Are you adjusting the seat, really? That's been your fucking problem the whole time, the seat height.
How ZBRA is able to play Winston into Bastion, and why ZBRA feeds less than every other Doom out there. Let's start on Oasis, where ZBRA is also duoing with Potter, who kindly gave me the codes, and is also playing against Wanted, the streamer. And in the very first fight, ZBRA already manages to punch the hazard off the map. Luckily it wasn't Doomfist this time round. And for this video, I'm gonna have a ZBRA punch counter for every kill he gets, starting with that one obviously. Now, in fairness, this does look like a misplay on the hazard's part. He could have wall climbed his own wall, but ZBRA does do a good job of baiting the wall climb by holding his punch charge instead of being impatient. And because Has already used his wall climb, he can't climb back up top. Funnily enough, despite Doomfist being one of the squishiest tanks in the game, you are able to punish some frontliners. Of course, you'll see later why that doesn't always hold, but when a tank is easy to punish, you don't always have to go for the flashy backline play. In this example, ZBRA is faced with two options: go for the Has or reach for the backline. I know at least 70% of you would have gone for the BAP or Alari here, but because the hazard is alone and doesn't have any armor, it's the safe and easy play for ZBRA to make to go ahead and punish him. Back to the first fight. After ZBRA punches Has off the map, he thankfully doesn't feed, just soft engaging by slamming in, punching out. But he power blocks straight after, thumbing up a punch. Now, I don't know how many times I have to say it, but just because you get punched doesn't mean your power block was good. Many coaches have talked about hindsight-based advice, and thankfully, most of ZBRA's blocks are actually good off principle, not outcome. So what classifies a good power block? Well, if you've seen my previous Doomfist stuff, this shouldn't come as a surprise. It's visual aggro. In other words, who's looking at ZBRA here? In this case, it's both DPS, as Wanted is looking at him dead straight on, as well as the Cassidy too. That's enough aggro to warrant a power block, and getting punched is just a byproduct. ZBRA also shows how you can get good power blocks without farming punch. In this case, the Wu Yang, Kiriko, and Soldier are all looking at ZBRA, but ZBRA barely misses out on farming punch. Does that mean the block was bad? No! And likewise, ZBRA tries farming punch off a disruptor shot that's almost about to expire, and the only enemy on his screen is an Alari healing someone. Still, he gets punch. Does this mean the block was good off principle? I wouldn't say so. Not to nitpick ZBRA too much here, but I really hope you Doom players learn this concept because it's super important. Now going back to the first fight, ZBRA does miss the empowered punch on Alari, but easily farms up another one with yet another good block. And sadly, the Alari can't do much but gets sent back to spawn. Even better though, ZBRA flanks around the spawn to go even deeper, slamming the BAP and punching the Soj, basically one-tapping Wanted. Now we could brush this off as generically good mechanics by ZBRA, but how many of you would have killed the Soj here? So, how do you do a ZBRA and guarantee the Soj kill? Well, one word: safety. If you're Wanted, you want to move to a place of safety, so why would you ever not slide to the right here? You're obviously gonna go back to your team. Looking at ZBRA's POV more closely, you can see his crosshair is placed to the left of Wanted. It's him who basically moves into ZBRA's crosshair, rather than ZBRA doing some insane flick. I gave a similar breakdown of how to stick pulse bombs because players will always subconsciously move back to safety. Of course, ZBRA finishes the fight too by punishing the super split Cass. Though genuinely part of the reason why Doom is so frustrating is because he can do shit like this and Thanos snap you immediately. Because of how important your shots are too, I think now is a good time to cover perks, some of which might surprise you. And don't worry, according to CarQ, Doom won't be getting any new perks this upcoming season, so this will still apply. As for the minor perk, Zebra always picks 1-2. I mentioned in my perk guide that the shield one might be better, but looking at how Zebra uses 1-2, it's definitely the better choice. You can effectively get 10 shots out with the perk because it's a refresh of ammo, something I didn't consider back then. You can see here against the Bastion, Zebra uses all his shots, power blocks the Bastion, gets the perk off thanks to the wall hit, and is able to finish off the Bastion. Just think of 1-2 as insurance in case you either don't have shots or you're like PGE and you miss all of them. Stick around though and you'll see what happens when Zebra doesn't have the perk. Now, as for your major perk, Zebra always picks Power Matrix. The one time he only picks Aftershock is on Oasis, but that's only because he was rolling the enemy team so hard that he wanted to have fun. The reason why you pick Power Matrix is similar to the shield perk on Ball. You just block big bursts of damage instantly, which drastically increases your survival. Just like the Ball Slam major perk, Aftershock is greedier and will allow you to deal more damage, but not feeding on Doom is your main priority. Now though, it's time to deal with the Orisa counterswap. But because Zebra is a Giga Chad, that shit doesn't matter to him. In short, the way you play this matchup is actually pretty simple. Space yourself away from Orisa, basically meaning to not play too close, control the angles around her, and play positions where it's hard for her to punish you. You can already see the first idea in play, as Zebra is spaced at least a corner away from the Orisa. I know a lot of you watching would have loved to play close here to punish Wanted, but now isn't the time. The Orisa does eventually spin onto him and does hit the Javelin, but you can see she's clearly scared of the Wu Yang shots, backing off. Zebra's actually more than happy to be chased by an Orisa because he knows he's playing a position where it's risky for the Orisa to do that. Shout out Chinese Mike too, maybe his name is a Danny Brown reference. Anyways, Zebra pretty easily lands the BAP kill, popping Neutral Strike and importantly, power blocking because he knows everyone is looking at him. Then of course he gets the second kill immediately. Really good discipline to not immediately punch out of his ultimates because he could have just straight up exploded. Now looking at the last fight, it's pretty clear Zebra's playing for the flashy play, as when Illari pops her Captive Sun, he slam cancels with punch in the air, trying to hit the Illari, probably for the clip. But hopefully, as you've seen, Zebra's pretty much nailed down the fundamentals. He's more than capable of being flashy in his videos, but hopefully I've so far shown you that he does actually know what he's doing behind the flashiness. And to be fair, in another fight, he did actually hit the Illari out the air and also get the kill too, to not cherry pick. In fact, if you haven't noticed, the only ability tech he's done so far is the slam cancel for verticality. On Samoa, he does a turn stair slam where you hug the floor and move much faster while slamming. You might wonder what the point of this is, and ultimately is for speed and surprise. You can see here, Zebra stair slams to the right, slamming both the Illari and Soj, punching the Soj off the high ground, hitting every follow-up shot after, getting the kill. That's 3 Zebra punch points just for how perfect the micro was. It's even crazier from the Soldier's POV because you can tell bro was absolutely gobsmacked.
Nothing to say about the game at all?
Nothing. I have nothing to say.
The only other crazy bit of movement micro is the punch into slam cancel, which flings Zebra across New Queen Street to catch the BAP kill. Very simple to pull off, just jump after your punch into a slam. However, one of the quickest ways to feed on Doomfist is to get slept. So how do you outplay sleep darts as Doomfist? Well, you could obviously just pick the major perk, but without it, you're gonna need some disciplined cover usage. After Zebra punches and punishes the Doomfist, he slams straight to the middle, strafing to the left to avoid any potential in getting slept. He then slams in, looking to punish the Doom blocking, but because the Ana isn't peeking their own Doom, Zebra's able to get away with power blocking and getting a free punch. Pathing is now the second way Zebra's able to avoid sleeps. With that free punch, Zebra paths to the right side of the map, where, from the Ana's POV, she's completely clueless. ZBRA is unscouted, similar to the flank I showed Sugar-Free do last time. This allows ZBRA to charge his punch, not even fully, to punch the Ana into the wall, getting a free kill out of nowhere. Low-key reminds me of the granny edit ZBRA did as a short.
Rest in peace, my granny, she got hit by a bazooka. Kaboom, kablow.
Now, I actually haven't talked about the super basic slam in, punch out cycle, which is basically your bread and butter as Doomfist. Something that's essential into Ana to avoid getting slept. What's more interesting to me though is when ZBRA deviates from that like he does here, committing both his cooldowns to try and kill the soldier. In this case, he's allowed to do this because nobody on the enemy team can punish ZBRA, especially the Ana. Sadly, because he hasn't got the 1-2 perk, the soldier gets away, hopefully showing you why it's the optimal choice. Sometimes though, Doom gets banned, forcing ZBRA onto Winston. So does his Winston match up? Well, we're not off to a blazing start in the first fight. Jumping and trying to avoid Vendetta is fair, but the bubble is a little excessive and not dropping off the high ground is fairly excessive. I have briefly talked about distancing yourself to not get cleared on characters like Vendetta, and this is why. Staying on high ground here will just get you cleared from every angle imaginable, and you can see just how low ZBRA goes, trying his absolute best to keep the high grounds. I will say his pathing on second point is actually pretty good to avoid getting slept. Jumping from the left side over the rooftops is a smart idea instead of going down main. Sadly, in this case he forgets to press Q to primal, but hey, maybe we can brush that off as an internet issue. Next fight, ZBRA does get the nano, and he does kill the Sojourn, but the enemy Ana somehow misses the easiest sleep on him. It's not even like ZBRA's doing any crazy strafing here. Speaking of sleep, it continues to be an issue next fight, as an early bubble force means there's barely any counterplay here. Thankfully though, he just about gets the primal off. The last bit of micro that he doesn't outplay is the whip shot, as his bubble is just a smidge too late. Especially when I compare ZBRA at the end to other streamers, Kron has shown to have really good micro into Brig Ana. Now, what about playing Winston into Bastion? Before I reveal the secret trick, a huge announcement on my brand new second channel. Basically, I'll just be posting more in-depth analysis with a full ZBRA breakdown already up there. I'll remind you at the end to check it out. Now, I will start off by saying that it does help a lot that ZBRA's team is playing Zen Ana, because all ZBRA needs to do is play in the LOS and importantly, force the Bastion to swing into the Ana Zen Sojourn. This fight is a textbook example as the Bastion tries to swing onto ZBRA, but because ZBRA is supported by a Zen Ana Sojourn, it's actually really easy for his team to do the heavy lifting, as long as he doesn't feed. My only slight gripe is bubbling here instead of S-keying back and playing the cover, but it's not a big issue. Now, I've already covered Winston's perks, but importantly, Winston's getting a new minor perk next season, namely that for every target you attack, you gain 10% extra move speed, which should allow you to chase kills. To me, this seems like a really good minor perk for Winston, especially when playing into Ana Brig backlines that are usually clumped up and lack mobility. The last thing I want to briefly cover is angle clearance and why most of the time you shouldn't be peeling. In this match, it's actually pretty common for ZBRA to shut down the soldier whenever he takes an angle, converting the kill more often than not. Especially considering he's got a Tracer duo, it's basically impossible for the soldier to live. It's only then, after he's forced out frontliners who can actively threaten his team, does he start reaching for backliners. Speaking of that, in this fight, he gets a good power block to absorb the ball Wu Yang aggro, farming punch and hitting both backliners, and then meteor striking to chase the Wu Yang. The meteor strike does miss, but ultimately it doesn't matter, as you can't run from the ZBRA. So, with all this being said, how good is ZBRA? In case you're new to the series, this is the 5th episode, and this is the current rankings. For me, Kron is the main comparison to ZBRA. I'm pretty comfortable saying that Kron's Winston is better than ZBRA's, but judging as Doomfist is where things get sticky. Doomfist hasn't been meta in over 3 years, so it's pretty hard to accurately judge how good ZBRA's Doom is. His fundamentals are clearly very good, he's able to do the flashy plays that you all know him for, and it's only on occasion did he get slept or fuck up some micro. For now, I'm gonna put ZBRA joint third with Kron. Kran. Kran's Winston and ability to communicate is better, but when it comes to getting raw kills out of thin air without feeding, ZBRA is your guy. Anyways, subscribe because I will be on the content grind, and check out the second channel too with that follow-up ZBRA video. Until next time.